All right, ready?
Go again.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Waterville Community Church.
We're so glad you're joining us today.
If this is your first time, we wanted to extend a special welcome to you. We're the Watson family, and one thing we try to do, because we can't seem to decide throughout the day when to watch the service, so our kids play rock, paper, scissors to decide if we're going to watch the service in the morning, afternoon, or evening. Show them how it's done, kids.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And I choose afternoon.
Way to go, buddy.
When the service is over, we hope you enjoyed the experience. If you have any comments or feedback, we welcome you to share those with us. We're so thankful you joined us today. We know this can be a strange experience for all of us, not being able to get together and worship. So wherever you're worshiping from and whoever you're worshiping with, we're thankful that you're able to experience life together with us. We hope this service blesses you and your family. And now we ask you to worship with us.
Bye.
That cannot be burned. It speaks truth that cannot be learned. It's a treasure we can never earn. Oh, it goes places we're afraid of going. It's not a fist, it's a hand wide open, reaching out to the down and broken. We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing takes a hit, then turns a cheek. You lay down your life for peace. Oh, love won't cast a single stone. It's never proven by words alone. You come alive in our flesh and bones, and in our souls. We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing down walls and you break our chains. Even in this darkness, hope will rise again. When we lay down our weapons, we will let love win. Lord, we lay down our weapons and we let love win. What if fighting for our lives looks more like surrendering, though that's the hardest thing? And what if standing up for what's right means laying down our pride, even laying down our pride? What if fighting for our beliefs looks more like surrendering, though that's the hardest thing? And what if standing up for what's right means laying down our pride, even laying down our lives? We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing down walls and you break our chains. Even in this darkness, hope will rise again. When we lay down our weapons, we can let love win. We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing down walls and you break
Well, while a lot has changed in the last year, the one thing that hasn't changed is our desire as a church to be generous people. And so over the last couple of weeks during this Reimagine series, when it's so easy to look back on 2020 and just think that things have been bad, we've been trying to highlight ways in which people from our church have been generous toward and have cared for people in need around us. A couple weeks ago, we highlighted ways in which people have been caring for widows and orphans. Last week, Dustin introduced you to ways that people in our church are caring for those who have food insecurity and who are experiencing homelessness. Today, I want to highlight ways in which you can help care for people who have been affected by incarceration. One of the programs that we've participated in for years as a church is called Angel Tree. It's a program hosted by an organization called Prison Fellowship. And the goal of the program is to provide Christmas presents to children who may have one or more parents incarcerated over the Christmas holiday. So I'm standing in our community room right now next to a Christmas tree that would normally be set up in our lobby. And during the Angel Tree program, if you came to church in person, this tree would be littered with paper angels. And on those angels would be the name of a child, age, gender, and some basic gift ideas. You would take the angel off the tree. You would go home at some point during the week. You'd go shopping. You'd buy gifts for that child. You'd wrap them up. And then in a different Sunday, you'd come back to church and you'd bring those gifts with you. And then we would organize a delivery day to deliver all of those gifts to the children for whom they had been purchased. So the program is going to work virtually the same way this year, except part of it's going to be virtual. Instead of coming to the church building in person and getting a paper angel off of a tree, you're going to go to our website, watervillecc.org/help, and there you'll find a link to a registration portal where you can sign up to sort of adopt a child for the program, and then it'll work the same way. You'll purchase gifts, you'll wrap them, and then you'll bring them back to the physical building so that we can deliver them. So the link should be available in a couple of days. Just go to our website, watervillecc.org/help. There'll be a registration link. Click on that and just follow the instructions. If maybe you're not ready to purchase gifts yet, but you think you might want to deliver, there's also a delivery option through that same registration portal. So go to the same website, follow the same instructions, but you can just click on the delivery option instead of the purchase option. Now, if you've participated in this program in the past and you've had a positive impact, and there's a part of you that's thinking, I may want to take the next step. I want to get involved with this population a little more. I'd encourage you to check out our formation group, Being with Those Returning from Prison. There are people in our church who partner with an organization called the Lazarus Experience. It was started by a member of our church named Tom Ostrowski. And this group, they meet regularly, and they're finding all kinds of creative ways to care for people who are incarcerated and who are eventually going to be returning to Northwest Ohio. So they routinely go to correctional institutions and spend time building relationships with people who are going to be released soon. They are a kind of local support group for people who have been released and who have come back to the area. They help with job placement and securing resources like driver's licenses and providing for material needs, all kinds of creative ways to care for people who are returning from prison. All you've got to do is go to our website, check out our formation group page, click on the link, Being with Those Returning from Prison. There's an easy sign-up registration, and then one of us will be in contact with you, about our next kind of informational meeting to learn more about that formation group. If you don't think you're ready to do that, but you may during this season want to support the Lazarus Experience directly with a financial donation, we're going to be hosting or having a matching grant to benefit the Lazarus Experience. It's a $2,000 matching grant between now and the end of the calendar year. So there should be a link on this video. You'll find it also on our website. If you make a donation to the Lazarus Experience as a member of our church, the church will match that donation up to $2,000 by the end of the year. So whether it's participating in Angel Tree, it's checking out our formation group, it's making a financial donation to the Lazarus Experience directly, or it's making a financial contribution here to the church. Again, while things are changing and it's easy to think that things are bad and aren't going well, let's continue to lean into generosity, to continue to practice generosity, especially during this holiday season when it means so much. I hope that these are ways that will help you to do that.
Whether you're visiting us online or you're hearing, this is going to be the funniest outtake reel you have ever seen. Landon, I hope you're very good at editing.
Oh, I didn't mention it. Yeah. Wait, where am I at?
Just kidding. Good morning.
So I want to talk about one other practice, an outward one, something flip that, an inward one.
If you're new here this morning, please fill out. I can stand over here so I don't have a bill on my back.
Right.
Okay, it must be Anna.
You're staring at it. You're like, I'm gonna send him a 10-minute clip.
He's gonna edit it out.
Okay, you ready? No, everybody get ready. No, everybody stop.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what take this is, but it's a whole lot. So, hopefully there's no background noises. Had enough issues already. Okay.
So I'm recording this in an attempt to balance the sound of my voice versus the sound of the rain outside. Hopefully the mic is understanding that it needs to listen to me. Obviously I'm very important. Although my grandmother always told me that God was in the rain, I'm trying to do this creed, so hopefully the rain adds to that. I don't know. Listen, just all I really want is the mic to work. Also, I memorized this, I want you to know, and it failed because the second I started talking about it, I forgot everything. Oh, also I need to stop recording this, but since this is a Mac, I'm not succeeding. Oh, nope. Here we go.
All right, we're going to have to do that one again. All right, you want to try one more time?
No, that was good. No.
Nope, we got to do one more.
Thought that one was good. Last one.
What?
Third time's a charm.
Yep. Are you ready?
Okay. Shake out. Hi, everyone. We wanted to extend a special welcome. Let's
try
do that
again.
again.
What do you think?
Perfect!
Please consider going to Waterville Community Church. Nope, that's not it.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Waterville Community Church. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Waterville Community Church. And so I just want to thank you for taking a risk on us this morning. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Waterville Community Church.
Take 2. How about take 3? It would be probably take 4. Okay, we're going to try it one more time and then I'm out of here. Okay. Extemporaneously speaking has not always been my strong suit. So this would be 5 and final. Good morning. Why is this so difficult? Yeah, I have a PhD. I can't think straight. Is not a message that is, gosh. Last time, I promise. This is 6. Good morning.
Do that again.
Okay, we're gonna try this again.
Let's do that again.
Let's try this again. That sounds like a great tagline for this year, doesn't it? I mean, I think many of us feel like we've been asking the question, like, can we just get a do-over from this year? You know, I don't think the final product that we've seen when we reflect back is one that many of us would have wanted or chosen. But unfortunately, unlike those bloopers that we saw, we don't get a chance for another take. And I know that's hard. I know that many of us are lamenting what we've lost in this time. It's been a period of disorientation, as we've been saying it. We can't wait for things to get back for normal. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking for a sense of normalcy too. But if we're not careful, wanting things to go back to how they were can cause us to miss out on the way things could be. If you've been with us for the past few weeks, we've been in this series that we've been calling Reimagine, asking us to kind of reflect back on this past year and look for the ways that God may be working in this. 2 weeks ago, Mike asked the question, what has this year revealed to you about you? In many ways, the thoughts and behaviors, the habits that we're experiencing right now are the result of seeds that were planted in our life 6 years ago. And in times of stress like these, we learn a lot about what we value and what's important to us. And with that, we've asked the question of what has this season revealed about your relationship with God and what God means to you. Last week, Mike asked the question about what this year has revealed to the church about the church. For those of you who didn't fall asleep when he started spouting statistics, he brought up that whatever the future may hold, it's pretty clear that the church in our culture needs to justify its existence. That the majority of people don't know why it's here or if it matters. And an important question to ask is if the Christian church in America, if it just closed down, would anybody notice? But as far as justifying our existence, he said the church ought to be the place where you learn love because you learn God, and God is love. It's the place where you are challenged, pushed, stretched, encouraged to love those who you might not love otherwise. So might this season have the purpose of teaching us, growing us, revealing to us the ways in which we ought to learn love. That being said, I think the question for us this morning is, what has this season revealed about what we are doing with our lives and what we could be doing? As I reflect back on this year, I think about a story that I remember from a book called The Wisdom Way of Knowing. It says that once upon a time, in a not so far away land, there was a kingdom of acorns. A myriad of acorns nestled at the foot of a grand old oak tree. Since the citizens of the kingdom were modern and fully westernized acorns, they went about their business with purposeful energy. And since they were midlife baby boomer acorns, they engaged in a lot of self-help courses. There were seminars called Getting All You Can Out of Your Shell. There were woundedness and recovery groups for acorns who had been bruised in their original fall from the tree. There were retreats and spas for oiling and polishing those shells, and various acornopathic therapies to enhance longevity and well-being. This is one day in the midst of this kingdom, there suddenly appeared a naughty little stranger who apparently dropped out of the blue by a passing bird. He was odd, capless, and dirty, making an immediate negative impression on his fellow acorns. And crouched beneath the oak tree, he stammered out a strange and wild tale. Pointing upward at the tree, he spoke to all that would listen to him and said, "We are that." Delusional thinking, obviously, the other acorns concluded. But one or two of them continued to engage him in conversation. "So tell us, how would we become that tree?" "Well," said he, pointing downward, "it has something to do with going into the ground and cracking open the shell." "Insane," they responded. "Totally morbid. Why, then we wouldn't be acorns anymore." I like this story, right? Because I think it reflects so much about us. The point of the acorn is to become the oak tree. That's the truest purpose of the acorn. It's not ceasing to be something at all. It is becoming what it was meant to be. I think it captures the world that we're in, where what we are and what we are not yet. And the challenge to the story is that it always applies to us. We are always moving and changing. We are always becoming more of who we are meant to be. This movement it's built into life. It's built into the stories that the Christian faith has been telling for thousands of years. We see that disorientation leads to reorientation, right? It leads to something new. For those of us that want what was, want to cling to what was, we have to ask the hard questions of whether what was really good enough. In many ways, this is the journey of the Hebrew Scriptures leading us to Jesus. We see a movement from slaves to a nation, a movement from law to spirit, a movement from temple to incarnation, a movement from nationalism to globalism, and a movement from vengeance to forgiveness and love. But to go from one thing to something new, it took disorientation. We're borrowing this phrase from Walter Brueggemann from the book Praying the Psalms. In it, he says there are sorts and conditions that are true of all of us, that our life of faith consists of moving with God in terms of being securely oriented, then being painfully disoriented, and finally being surprisingly reoriented. In those stories, it took moments of crisis to prepare for something new. Slaves in Egypt roamed the desert for 40 years before coming into their land. In order to become God's people for the world, they had to move away from being God's people against the world. The destruction of the temple multiple times prepared the way for the incarnation of God in Jesus and the dwelling of the Holy Spirit in each of us. That we don't have to go to a specific place to be with God, that God is with us and in all of us. We see that being the same thing that causes the move from law to spirit. It took persecution of the early church to lead the way to the kingdom of God being globalized. To end a system built on vengeance and ritualistic violence, it took the very crucifixion of Jesus to reveal God's forgiveness and love. In all of these cases, normal wasn't good enough. It took moments of disorientation to get away from normal towards something new, something better. And in all of these cases, there's a movement towards a fuller expression of love. And so as you reflect on this year, ask yourself, do you sense a movement towards a fuller expression of love? For many of us in this season, our lives shrunk to our family rooms. I've spent so much time at home this year. And when we first moved here about 5 years ago, my wife and I intentionally chose a small house, kind of relatively to the area, with the idea that our lives would be bigger outside of our home. But then our family room turned into an office and a classroom, and having a small house, about 200 square feet per person, has made life feel just as small during this season. And that's the reality for all of us. Our lives shrunk. We were asked to decide on who was essential to us and who wasn't, and what was essential and what wasn't. As a church, we first had to decide whether or not to close our doors to physical gathering, which we did back in March. Then we had to make decisions about, what are the things that we will allow? What are the exceptions that we will make? For example, do we allow the Anthony Wayne Community Food Ministry to continue to use our building to distribute food to hungry people, knowing that that might also put a lot more people at risk? Which, by the way, they did continue to do that. But our personal lives were filled with these same kinds of dilemmas as well. Think back over this year. Think about the times that you went against the government and health guidelines. Right? When did you make exceptions in your own life? All right? Did you think of some examples? Now I want you to think about when you used those same guidelines as excuses. When did you use those as excuses to get out of something or to keep certain people away? How did you decide who was in and who was not? I mean, in many ways, this year has become a question about family for all of us. Deciding the people that are a part of our bubble, deciding the people that aren't. And I wonder if there's an invitation here from this season. This is an area of reorientation for us. And so I ask you to think, when our lives were confined to our family rooms, who does that include for you? There's a story in the Gospel of Matthew where Jesus has told his mother and his brothers were looking for him. He replies by saying, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" He goes on to explain that his disciples are those who are following him, and they are his true family. I think this often gets understated how controversial this statement this was on Jesus' end. But he isn't denouncing family. He's expanding the view of what family includes. This alternative household, it challenged the conventional ties of birth and biological descent, which were the basic means by which the elite perpetrated its wealth and power. Right? If you had a wealthy family, you were wealthy. If you didn't, you weren't. And their views about family in that time kept it that way. Often, like we do today. And that's why when Jesus expands his view and his understanding of family, it's actually a challenge to people like us. This fits right in line with what he says in Matthew 5 in the Sermon on the Mount. You see, he says if you only love those who love you, what reward is there for that? And if you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? What if our understanding of family is too small? Right? The people that we feel obligated to love and protect and care for. There's another story in the end of John's Gospel where Jesus is on the cross. It says, standing near the cross were Jesus' mother, his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother standing there beside the disciple he loved, that's John's way of referencing himself, Jesus said to her, "Dear woman, here is your son." And he said to this disciple, "Here is your mother." And from then on, this disciple took her into his home. So, Jesus' disciple John ends up being the son to Jesus' mother. He takes her into his home. Widows were especially marginalized in their culture, and more so without adult children to take care of him. What's peculiar about this is that we have stories that Jesus had brothers who could have taken care of her. So it doesn't appear that Jesus is saying this out of pure need. But even in this moment, even in his final moments, he is teaching something, expanding the view of what it means to be family. John would not have had any obligation to take care of Jesus' mother in the old way. But with the crisis of seeing his teacher on the cross, Jesus offers a new reorienting, expands his family obligation to something else. What if our greatest impact in this life is not what we go out and do or what we go out and accomplish, but who we let into our lives? You know, the thing about John taking Jesus' mother into his family is that there wasn't a perceived benefit to John. It complicates things. It's messy. It adds to the burden of someone else to provide for. But I wonder if that's the fuller expression of love that we are invited into today. When life shrinks down to who is essential, is it only the people who love you back? Is it only the people who look like you? Is it only the people who offer some benefit to you? You know, family is incredibly important. It's the people we spend the most time with, right? The people who know and see the best and the worst of us, right? The people we feel an obligation to be with and provide for no matter what, right? It's the people who you are stuck with. It's the people who ruin your belongings and eat your food and use your money and mess up your house, right? Break your things. It's the people who know how to push all your buttons and the people who know how to cheer you up. It's the people who bring you the deepest sense of joy and satisfaction, and the people who have the most potential to bring you the worst heartbreak. Your family is the people who you experience the abundance of life with. I mean, we know that family is essential. But maybe the fuller expression of love to move towards is, who does that include? And that's really the question we've all had to ask ourselves in this season. Who is our family? We end each service with the practice of communion, right? It's about communing with God, but also with each other. It was supposed to be and can still be a family meal. And so I encourage you to get some of those elements of a family meal. Get some type of bread or some type of juice or wine. And when Jesus gives the instructions of eating the bread and drinking the wine, this was a reimagining of the Passover feast. Right? The Passover was a celebration of something God had done, leading the people of Israel out of Egypt, leading them from slavery into a nation. When Jesus invites us to take the bread and the wine, that it represents his body and his blood shed on a cross for us. We do it in remembrance, but we do it as a way of anticipating what God is doing. Do this in a way of remembering God is like Jesus. And God has always been like Jesus. This movement that we've talked about, it doesn't imply that God's been the one that's changing. The movement has been on our end. God's been changing and working in us. And that with each reimagining, with each reorientation, we get a clearer sense, a clearer idea, a bigger picture of who God is and the depths and extent of God's love. So let's pray. May we all be surprisingly reoriented to God and to what God is doing in the world. And may you lean into a fuller expression of love. May you come out of this season, whenever that might be, with a new way of being in the world. As a person who has learned and grown in love, and as a person who is continuously learning and growing in love. Amen.
Bridges that cannot be burned. It speaks truth that cannot be learned. It's a treasure we can never earn. Oh, it goes places we're afraid of going. It's not a fist, it's a hand wide open, reaching out to the down and broken. We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing down walls and you break our chains. Even in this darkness, hope will rise again. When we lay down our weapons, we will let love win. Lord, we lay down our weapons and we let love win. Love is a friend to its enemies. It takes a hit, then turns a cheek. You lay down your life for peace. Oh, love won't cast a single stone. It's never proven by words alone. You come alive in our flesh and bones, and in our souls. We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing down walls and you break our chains. Even in this darkness, hope will rise again. When we lay down our weapons, we will let love win. Lord, we lay down our weapons and we let love win. What if fighting for our beliefs looks more like surrendering, though that's the hardest thing? And what if standing up for what's right means laying down our pride, even laying down our lives? What if fighting for our beliefs looks more like surrendering, though that's the hardest thing? And what if standing up for what's right means laying down our pride, even laying down our lives? We believe your love is the strongest way. You're tearing down walls and you break our chains.